Close. There. Now my head's the same size as yours. Okay, here we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday morning Facebook Live. Apologies, we missed a few weeks. Completely my fault and the fault of my foot. So anyway, but we're happy to be back. And this morning we are talking about puppies on leashes. And I don't know if anybody saw our Facebook ad. We even have a little poem to go with it. So before we start dissecting our poem, let's just talk for a minute about what a walk should look like for a puppy. So Celeste, I'm going to put you on the spot right away. Because Gimli is not that old, you must remember puppyhood with
Yes.
With Gimli. What did you do when you took him on walks? I know what you did. So tell the world what you did on a walk with a puppy.
First of all, I had him on a halter because I was worried about hurting him. I mean, he's a long back dog. He's not fully formed as a baby.
A halter or a harness?
A harness, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that was the first thing. And I didn't have a long line for him at the time. It was probably 6 foot when he would just walk around, but he didn't really go that far anyway. And I just followed him around. I'd go on walks and just follow him around.
Exactly. No goal.
There was no goal, no expectation. I just followed him around.
Absolutely. That's what I was looking for. Absolutely. Yeah. We all have this when we, anybody who wants a dog or gets a dog or has a dog, we all dream about those long walks we take, and your dog's just right there beside you and you're walking along together and it's so great. And that is attainable. We certainly have pretty good walks with our dogs now, but everybody has to remember this is like walking a toddler.
Yeah.
And how well does that go?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody needs just to dump that whole fantasy scenario of what a walk looks like. And your puppy's not going to walk on a loose leash. They are not going to pay a whole lot of attention to you. And that is all totally, completely normal. They don't have to learn to walk on a loose leash. The most important thing on a walk is socialization. And that should be a priority for all these really young puppies. It's about learning about the world and all of the new and exciting stuff in the world, like just learning to cope with novelty.
Yeah.
And they can't do that if they have to walk beside you. So it's also about helping them feel safe and having them learn that they can trust us when they're out in the world and letting them do stuff. They need to smell stuff. They need to investigate things.
Mm-hmm.
They need to explore with all their senses. Some of them need to take 15 minutes to dissect a leaf. That's okay. That's all learning. So, your priority, that should be everybody's priority on a walk. Not anything else, not distance, not manners, not anything like that. So I just wanted to establish that first. So what we did was we've divided into 4 problem areas, which aren't really problems, but according to our poem. So Celeste, do you mind reading the poem? Because I feel like an idiot reading.
I'm trying to find it now. It's in our ad. There we go. Some are too fast, some are too slow, some are crazy, and some just won't go.
That pretty much sums it up. That's everything here. So let's look at the first one, go too fast. So, as I said, they are like toddlers and, sometimes they're going to sit there and look at something. Other times they're going to be running frantically in 15 different directions, and that's normal. So on the other hand, not all puppies are small when they're young. And so it is a little bit annoying to have them pulling. I'm not so much concerned about that. I just more concerned about any of them, no matter what size, pulling on their leashes, pulling on their collars, because that can choke them. It can damage blood vessels in their neck and their throats and nerves. and you know, people don't think about it. They think, oh well, you know, if the puppy, you know, didn't want to choke himself, he'd stop pulling. But you're assuming that they have more functioning brain cells than they actually do. Like the
It's true.
excitement of the world is just more. And you know, Rosie, yeah, everybody knows Rosie, my small one. She, if she puts any pressure at all on a collar, she doesn't anymore because she's not even on a leash anymore, really. But when she was younger, if she put any, like the slightest pressure, this tiny, tiny pressure, she would gag and cough for a good hour afterwards. So obviously, like some are more sensitive than the others, and she
Yeah.
obviously was very sensitive. But obviously, that's what it does. So you know, the answer, of course, is what you did with Gimli. You put him on a harness. I remember that. I remember you getting the harness for him.
Yeah, it was adorable.
Yeah, and that, like, just use humane, comfortable equipment. You know, put them on a harness. Puppies and all dogs are actually adapt to harnesses a lot more easily than any other piece of equipment. You might just have to feed them a little bit, use conditioning, condition having it put on them in the beginning, because lots of puppies have some handling issues in the beginnings, no matter what you're doing with them. So you might have to use a bit of food. My suggestion is you get a harness that clips around their neck rather than pulls over their head.
Yeah.
Because that can be scary for a puppy, his hands reaching out with this thing to choke them. We use, for anybody who's looking for a brand, we use the Pet Safe 3-in-1s. You can get those at any of the global pet food stores in Markham, or you can get them on Amazon. And, you know, your puppy's going to outgrow it. Although those have a wide, really big adjustment range on them, they are going to outgrow it, but they're not that expensive. And, you know, it's just part of the process. They have to be in a well-fitted harness. And that one has a front ring and a back ring. Put them on the front ring if they're pulling a lot, because the front ring will cut down on the pulling, which is a good thing. Back ring will just let them pull harder. So a harness is a good thing. Don't put them on a prong collar. Don't use them on a choke collar or prong collar, or the slip leads, or even a martingale, because all of those things will tighten around the neck. And even if it doesn't do any damage physically, I just gonna scare the daylights out of a puppy. So, you know, we want them to have safe equipment that also doesn't frighten them. Even the head halters, a lot of people buy those head halters. And, you know, even I bought those when my dogs ages and ages ago, but I don't use them anymore. People don't take the time to condition the dog to it. And have I ever met a puppy or a dog that actually loved wearing a head halter? No, I don't think so.
No.
You know, it's still something that's stuck over their nose. We're not going to get into how they're used in styles and design at this point, but not a big fan of any of those. So definitely get them a harness, and they can explore the world of a harness. And the second piece of equipment I think is crucial if you have a puppy is a long line. You don't have to go out and spend a fortune, because puppies do tend to chew their leashes and their lines. So don't go out and buy an expensive one. You know, if you have a puppy that's not very big, you can probably get away with one from the dollar store. I think I did, you know, when my guys were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shouldn't be on 6-foot leashes. But you and I don't think any dog should be on 6-foot leashes.
No.
Yeah.
But just to clarify too, the long line does not mean the retractable ones.
Oh, yes, good point. Thank you so much. I always
You're
forget
welcome.
that. Yeah, no, please. Retractable leashes, if again, we won't get into massive details. They can be dangerous to both people and dogs. If you want to actually do a little bit of investigation in that, just Google dangers of retractable leashes on Google, and you'll see some really great stuff.
Yeah.
We won't go down that road. No, get something. No more retractables, please. I remember we did have retractables in the puppy playgroup. And I remember every Saturday morning there was one wound around my ankles at the top of the hill. I thought,
Yes.
I'm down that hill. So no, we don't want to go down there. But long lines, they reduce frustration for all dogs, because they let them explore. It does cut down on pulling also. You know, if your dog's on a 6-foot leash, whether it's a puppy or dog, even if they just want to go sniff something and they take 2 steps sideways, they're already pulling on the leash.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for everybody. And, if you have your puppy on a long line, chances are they won't pull as much because they've got freedom to explore. So you're not setting them up to think that every time they go out on a walk, they should just be at that end of the leash tugging away. You can also work with them on the long line. If the puppy goes at a distance and then they decide to come back to you, definitely have food with you and reinforce that. You can teach dogs an awful lot about loose leash walking just by catching them anytime they turn back to you, anytime they stop, if there's some tension on the leash, anytime they let the leash go slack, anytime they show up beside you. You can get a lot of stuff accomplished just by saying, oh my gosh, that's amazing, here, have a couple pieces of kibble, and then tell them to go sniff and play. Tell them they can go off and sniff and play. Because we had to talk about this. We've been talking about in our games classes, because we have a lot of puppies in the games classes. And what we've said is that dogs don't get enough information when they're walking with their owners. Like, when can I pull? Well, not what can I pull. When can I go and explore? And when do I have to be beside you?
Yeah.
That's how we protect our training. Yes, you have to be beside me. I'm talking about the older ones. But now you can go play and go sniff. So you can set that up right away with a puppy. Come back to you, feed them a couple of pieces of food and say, go sniff, talk to them, say you are free to go and explore. And let them, the other thing is that at the end of it, I think you're pretty big on this on your walks. You let your dogs choose where they get to go a lot of the time. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a puppy, I never felt I had a choice.
That's so true.
And now I just go with it. No, I think that it's more fun for them. They have more confidence, more, I don't know. I'm big about them choosing stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and again, it's like walking a toddler. You can give them some choice, or you can try and put your foot down with them. But what's going to happen if you try and put your foot down? No, you can't go and look in the window of the toy store. You have to go this way.
Yeah.
You're just going to lose, and there's going to be battle, and that's not how you want to start your life out with your puppy.
No. And I mean, sometimes you have to for safety or whatever, but if you do it all the time, that makes walks very boring.
That's right. And if you do need to change their direction, just be happy about it.
Yeah, make it fun.
Come on, let's go run a little bit. They chase you.
Yeah.
Go feed them again. It's so easy to start setting up those habits, but not total loose leash walking, just setting up little moments here and there on leash where it happens and you reinforce it. And you guide it, that moment of bonding, and it's great. And then you just say, go sniff, go play. I think it's really important to tell puppies that, to give them a sense of what they can do and what they can't do.
Yes.
In a nice way. Okay. So now we're going to go to the other side. Some go too slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we hear this a lot, don't we?
Yes. And the number one complaint that goes along with that, it's boring. Not for the puppy, but for the human. So, you know what? It's not about how far you go. Distance is not an issue. I'm sorry to say this, it's not about walking their legs off so that when they come home, they're going to lie down, go to sleep, and give you a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And I remember the Malamute puppy. That's exactly what we did with that dog. It's like a million years ago. I didn't know anything about dog training or puppies or anything. I swear to God, we walked him 10 times a day, and he never tired out anyway. But we just walked and walked and walked and walked. So I've been there. But we're going to give you some strategies anyway in a minute. But it really is about the quality of the walk for the dog. It's about investigating and learning and dealing with the world. So, and I think sometimes, I hear all the time, I hear people saying, but they just sit, and they just sit forever, and they don't get up, and we can't get them up. You know, and there's reasons for that. There's even with puppies, there's reasons. You know, some might just want to sit there and kind of observe something that's going on. Some of them might be sitting there because they're not sure, and I think that's something people don't think about. The only reason probably I think about it a lot is because of Rosie, who the only time I ever see Rosie sitting, really, because you know Rosie, she's always she's either at full speed or she's down in a
Yeah.
down. The only time I ever see Rosie sit is when she's a little bit further away from a situation, she's worried about it. So she'll sit. That's her default position when she's worried or anxious or unsure. Even in the house, she'll just go sit somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you know, puppies are. You know, it could be the same sort of thing. I'm just going to sit here. I'm not sure what to do. So sitting seems to be, you know, the safest thing to do.
Yeah.
Be interesting to watch puppies and see, because we certainly never see them sitting in the field. Except
So,
none of
well,
us do.
no, yeah, they're too busy playing. But you know, you and I were having a conversation the other day about how people don't talk to their dogs enough. That would be
Yeah.
the perfect. That would be the perfect time. Like, so you're bored because your dog doesn't want to walk. So
Yeah.
talk to your dog about what's around you. Oh, look, there's a bird. Look, there's a car. Look, there's you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, it's okay. You're
Yeah.
fine. We got this. It's okay, really, you
Yeah.
know?
And just
Good.
let them just talk to them while they sit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that we've been talking more about that lately because of
Yeah.
Kimberly's course.
Yes.
And it's amazing if you're talk consistently to your dogs, especially if you're out walking with them, because you're with them anyway, you start to pick up language and information that we don't realize that they are. So
Yeah.
her thing is that you know, just consider they have the language skills of a 3-year-old toddler and talk to what she say, talk to them like Mr. Rogers does. Just explain
Yeah.
clearly and simply. And I've mentioned it to a few of my owners, a few people in the puppy group, and they're really excited about it. They just never thought about it.
Yeah. So
You know?
that'll make it more fun for the person who says the walk is boring because the
Yeah.
dog's not doing anything. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Give it a try, everybody, and let us know how that goes.
Yes.
We
And
could
how
use,
everybody looks at you when they walk by and you're chit-chatting with your dog.
yeah,
I still do it.
now they
I
should
s-
be looking at the puppy anyway. But
That's
yeah,
true.
we could use some feedback on that for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
So you know, let them sit, give them time, let them absorb things. You know, they're not going to process stuff as quickly as, you know, a 9-year-old Aussie Shepherd or a 5-year-old German Shepherd. Everything in the world is new and exciting, you know, and the walk can be for both of you when you get older. But right now, just relax, watch your puppy, learning about the world, and talk to them, you know, and see what's going on. You know, the walks, we've always maintained that walks should be enriching for our dogs. But the only way they're going to be enriching is, you know, even for puppies, is if you actually let them use their brains on the walk and
Yeah.
let them process things and let them sniff, because sniffing is how they learn about the world. It's how all dogs learn about the world. And we forget that because we don't have that same sense of smell, and we don't have that same need for information through our sense of smell
Right.
as they do. So you know, if you want your puppy to work out some energy on a walk and you know, be calmer, at least when they get home, maybe a little bit tired, we know with all dogs that you're going to achieve more calmness. You're going to tire them out more, far faster through mental stimulation than you are through physical exercise.
Yes.
So enrichment and exploration will calm them down mentally and psychologically.
Right.
If you're going to make it a walking marathon, which is what we did, well, I can tell you with the Malamute, it failed. It was like a total fail because he just kept on trucking. We
Yeah.
could not tire him out physically, but I'm sure his little brain was like bonking around inside his head because he'd come home and just bounce off the walls. So you're going to end up with a physically tired puppy, but one whose brain is still quite active. And you know what happens when you get a toddler who's physically tired, but their brain is still in gear. We don't even want to talk about that. So, you know, and the other thing too is take them to different environments, because it's really easy, especially if you're only walking puppies a short distance, to just take them out down the street, around the block every single day on the same route. But they need to see new experiences, you know. So change the route as often as you can. Take them to other neighborhoods, take them to busier streets so they can see more action, they can hear more noise, different sights and sounds. Put them in the car and just drive them on a short trip to like a park or something. You know, get them used to the car and give them a different experience of walking. I think it's really important. Socialization is everything. Your puppies have the rest of their life to learn all of the skills and walk with you, but socialization is only 14 to 16 weeks maximum. So they need to see a lot of things, not too much, but in a quality way.
Yes. So we've talked about socialization in other videos, so I'm not going to go on there, but I just wanted to clarify to people that it's not just about meeting people and dogs. In this case, it's changing the environment and letting them explore.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, if anybody is looking for more information on socialization, I think if you go to our YouTube channel, which is Drop Leash Dog Training, those lives are up there on socialization.
Yes.
You know? So here's my favorite topic. My third sentence, my third poem, Some Go Crazy. Yes. I'm getting a lot of calls these days from people whose dogs puppies stop in the middle of the leash and just cujo at them. So they're biting and tugging and they're jumping on the owners, and they want to know how I can make that go away right away. Yeah. So, you know, puppies do get overexcited and lose their minds, and they go from 0 to 100. And we can't always see a trigger for that. You know, that's part of puppyhood. But sometimes I also think our puppies are telling us something if we stop and learn to listen. So the owners just see this as bad or unwanted behavior that needs to be fixed. But I have a different take on it. So the first thing I ask people is, how often do your puppies get out for walks during the day? And I have to tell you, the vast majority of people who have this issue have said to me they get out for 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes around dinner time or in the evening. At which point my next question is, what does your puppy do in between the walks? And usually the answer is, they just sleep in the house, they hang around the house. So it's not enough. It isn't enough. You know, if we've all learned one thing from COVID, it's how what's the word I'm looking for? The opposite of enriching.
Stagnating.
Thank you. Like being in the house all day long. I can tell you right now that I'm stuck in the house all day long because I can't walk other than on crutches. So I'm really happy to go teach agility in the evenings. It's saving my brain. I need to get out. So they need to get out more. They are not, you know, that is their natural world. They weren't born to live in, you know, hang out in living rooms all day. So they need to get out more, even if it's for short periods. You know, and, you know, I know people are going back to work, but at the same time, I'm going to sound a little cranky about this. You bought a puppy. And if you can't get them out, somebody else needs to. Even if you get a dog walker, somebody needs to get the puppy out more often. And we're not doing the long walk thing. We just talked about that. They don't have to get out for hours, but they just have to get out more so that it starts to seem more like just part of the everyday occurrence, not this, oh my God, I'm getting out for 20 minutes and I've been in the house for 9 hours. What do you expect them to do? You know? Like I get excited when I go out now, you know, so it's the same. You see me driving my little golf cart down the hill at 900 miles an hour, right? So I get it. So you do need to throw in more mental and physical stimulation during the day, even if you take them out in the backyard. We are always telling people that you don't have to well, I talked about this at length last night, and I have a new Walks at Work group. And we talk about it to all of the people with reactive dogs, is you don't have to take your dog out for a walk. Different reasons here, different reasons, but same thing. Your dogs, especially your puppies still think the backyard is a fantastic place. So get them out in the backyard. If you can't get them out for a walk, and do some stuff with them out in the backyard, or get them out on your front lawn, which is even better.
Yes.
Because then they can sit on the front lawn and watch the world go by, and you can feed them cookies for just watching people and other dogs and moving vehicles go by. So either backyard or front lawn is still okay. They need to get out. There are other things you can do. I think that's the big one. They need to get out more and get that mental stimulation. So
yeah,
and we're big proponents of front lawns.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, even now, if you work from home, like I work from home.
Yeah.
I don't have time to take mine out for multiple walks a day. So I don't do regular morning, evening. I'll do it whenever I can. So they'll get their 2 walks a day, but not at the same time.
Yeah.
But when they go out for their backyard or front yard pee breaks, I make it a 10-minute pee break where I play games with them, or I let them sniff around or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's a nice break.
Yeah.
For me too.
Yeah. I do the same thing if I'm teaching all day. If I can get up close for 10 minutes, I at least get them out to do some training and some games in the backyard.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to go back again to the front lawn thing, where you can, put your dog out on your front steps or your front lawn and just have them watch the world go by. And when people and dogs go by, you can do a little bit of socialization, which for us is, yes, there's a dog. Yes, there's a human. Yes, we know you'd love to meet them, but here I'm just going to throw some kibble on the ground and scatter feed. So you're happy to stay with me, and you don't have to go meet every dog and human in the world.
Yeah, that's so important.
That is gold.
Yes, that is so important.
Yeah. And so there's other things you can do. I think a lot of the time the leashes become the cue for those infrequent outings.
Yes.
So the outings are super exciting. And how quickly a puppy figures out when the leash goes on, they're going out the door. So if you want to get ahead of that, the problem is it's really difficult once they blow their brains out on the walk, and they're jumping and they're grabbing the leash and they're biting you. Your options are pretty limited as to how to save the situation.
Yes.
And we know that some people have gotten into big trouble by using food to calm the dog down, which reinforces them for all of those behaviors. And so they think, wow, it's a behavior change. They think, great, jump up, grab my owner's sleeve, and then they get food. So you don't want to get caught there. You want to try and get ahead of it. And that's the same with all behaviors. So start teaching them right away that leashes are about being calm. Like, put the leash on in the house and take them for a walk around the house. Chances are you're not going to get too excited about that in the house. And if they did, you just unclip the leash. That's fine. But just take them for a walk around the house. Drop a few pieces of kibble on the floor, and then take the leash off. So the leash is not the predictor of the great outdoors and great adventures. And the leash becomes associated with being calm. Even putting the leash on, a lot of puppies are just so excited because, going out, you can't get the leash on. So again, do it in the house. Clip the leash on, drop a few pieces of kibble on the floor so they're calm. As soon as that leash is clipped, walk them around the house, take the leash off, no big deal, And then, take them out on the front lawn, do the same thing. Take them out in the backyard, do the same thing. So you're not just jumping to, oh my God, the leash is on, we're going to go to the park. It's too much for them to handle. So that excitement, I think, is a lot of the time triggered. Well, we know this. Dogs know what happens before what happens. They know the cues that lead to the good stuff. So so just do it calmly in the house. Teach them to be calm in the backyard. Just walk them up and down the street for the first few days, because then if you do get out there and they do blow their brains out, it's a shorter walk, back to the house.
Yes.
And you can put a stop, like you can get out of the situation a lot faster. Whereas if, you know, somebody said to me the other day that their dog just lost their mind, and I said, well, how far out were you with the puppy? They said, oh, I was 45 minutes from home. Yeah.
That's a long walk home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Plus, with maybe the dog was tired, overtired, and lost its mind because it was 45 minutes out from home. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, just increase your range slowly. And you know, if you've got an older puppy who is still continuing to have too much energy on a walk, take them out in the backyard first and burn some of that energy. You know, play some games with them, do a little bit of training. I tend to shy away from saying throw a ball 15 times for them to retrieve, because for some dogs that just winds them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. But I like having that those training games to play in the backyard before you take your dog out. You know, throw some food, get them to chase it. You know, do some stuff with them just to take that edge off,
Mhm.
and continue it throughout the walk.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So we were playing all these games when you first got Gimli, weren't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right from the start. Yeah.
You probably did that with him on walk.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I would walk with him, or I would follow him, let him sniff and do what he wanted. And then every now and then I would, if he looked at me, I would like reinforce that with a treat and then a little game. And then it'd be like, go back to sniffing and following him around. And
Yeah. So
yeah.
do you remember him going crazy on walks a lot?
No, actually I don't.
So maybe that was the reason.
Yeah, I mean, the most that he would do is because he likes to pee on all the things when we go on walks. So the most that he would do is pull to get to the next thing. Kind
Yeah.
of thing. But that's it. Like nothing. He never jumped and attacked the leash or did any of that kind of stuff.
No, and he's a pretty high energy guy.
He's a very high drive dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he is the 0 to 100 dog.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So maybe, you know, maybe he's living proof of the fact that all this,
That's true.
you know.
Yeah, I never really gave it thought, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like sometimes. Sorry, go ahead, Spice.
I was going to say, because every time he would turn back to me, he would get to play and do something exciting.
Yeah.
And then he'd just go back and calm down and sniff and pee on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, sometimes it's hard because they just snap and it's hard to read. But a number of people said, oh, I can tell. Somebody said the other day, I think it was
Finnegan's.
It was Finnegan's mom. Yeah. She said, I know when he's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
He stops and he does something. He looks at her. She's doing something. She said, I know when he's going to go.
Yeah.
So it's the perfect time in that split second, if you can get ahead of it.
Yes.
And ask them to engage in some way, you know.
Something fun. Yeah.
Even just a bit of scatter feeding throughout the walk is huge, because we know that just dropping for dogs to find food on the ground is a real job, and it calms every dog down. We use it hugely in agility. It would work the same way on the walk. So even if you know that you're not going to see that coming, just randomly stop and do a bit of scatter feeding throughout the walk.
Yeah.
And some dogs just, I think, according to the owner, some dogs just like to tug. And so, there's a couple of other ideas too. We had a golden in the city who was really super excited on walks and got into picking up stuff that he shouldn't, impulse control thing and jumping. And I know what worked for him for a while as a puppy was, and I think they almost discovered it by accident, was he found a stuffed animal or something out on one of the walks and he carried it for the rest of the walk. He was great. So they let him carry stuff because heck, it's a golden retriever. They're bred to carry things.
Yes.
And so he was super happy to just carry something. So give them a job.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of dogs. I saw the cutest picture of a little golden puppy on Facebook yesterday, and he had his toy, and they said he carries it everywhere. He wants everybody to see it. It's never out of his mouth. He just can't figure out how to take treats while he's got it in his mouth. It was really but there's an example right there. He just carries stuff, so that's a
Yeah.
good idea as well. Don't force them to do it. If they drop it, that's fine. They're like kids, they drop their toys and they forget about them and move on. Just pick it up and carry it. You could try playing tug. I don't know if that would work or not. Might just wind them up. Tug instead of the leash. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
For some feedback on that from puppy parents as to whether that's a really smart move or not. We'll see.
Well, I think it'd be smart for some dogs, but not all dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's a good point about the carrying things. I think that knowing your dog and knowing what kind of job they might like, that would focus, or like not focus them, but work their brain a little bit during the walk.
Yeah.
Is a good idea.
Yeah, even my three, they're not, dogs that are known to carry around stuffed animals and that. But Maddie would, if we had a Frisbee, Maddie would carry it on the walk with her for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, so a couple, just be creative. See if you can. The important thing is to try and get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Once you're in it, I don't even want to talk about that. There's not a lot of great solutions when your puppy's attacking you, other than to hold the leash out as far away from you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know people that end up tying their puppies to trees and fire hydrants till they calm down. But again, we're not going down that road today.
Yeah, short walks, guys. Short walks.
Yeah, get ahead of it. Stay short. Yeah. Be creative. Okay, so our final line of our poem is "Some Just Don't Go."
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so and the ones that don't go get labeled often incorrectly. Stubborn, independent, defiant, yada yada yada. You can pretty much replace all of those with the description of fearful.
Yeah.
Almost always. And the question I ask people usually is, what happens? Because at some point they say, well, they're really slow and they stop. And I always say, what happens when you turn for home? And almost every case, they go 90 miles an hour. So
Yes.
Home is predictable. Home is safe. Home is consistent. The world is the opposite.
Right.
So if your puppy has any fear or anxiety about new experiences, it's going to happen out in the world. And you know what? That's pretty normal. Dogs are genetically encoded to be anxious, possibly fearful of new things, because when you're living in the natural world, if you're not afraid of things you haven't seen before, and you get too close to them, those things could eat you. So it's a survival tool to be a little bit afraid.
Maybe cautious is a good word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thank you. That is a good word. That's what I should say. Yeah. So the thing that people have to understand is that this isn't a behavior. It is an emotional response to a situation or an environment that's overwhelming. And again, they're like babies that have been taken away from everything they know in the world, that they have known since they were born, and now they're having to adapt to a new family and a new place to live, and they don't understand the rules, and it's really confusing. And then to go out in the world too, it's over. I think life is overwhelming for puppies. So the best thing you can do, number one rule, is never pressure your puppy. Never try and coerce them, and never pressure them, never drag them. And I know that seems ridiculous, I have to say that, but I was asked once what equipment people could get that they could use to get their puppy up and moving. And I think that was just lack of understanding as to why. I think that was an interpretation of the dogs just being stubborn. How do we control that?
Yeah.
But you have to give them time to hang out exactly where they're comfortable. Let them desensitize to their environment. The good thing about puppies is that they are really their brains are flexible and adaptable, and they can desensitize to their environments, to things that are new, if you just give them time and don't pressure them. So if they want to just sit and watch from a safe spot, from the front lawn or the porch, that's fine. If they want to just hang out in the backyard at the beginning, that's fine too. And when they see things that show up, especially out in the front of the house, if they see something new coming down the street, you throw them a couple of pieces of kibble after they've seen it. They go and you say, wow, yeah, look, there's a person walking by. That's cool. Here, have a treat, have a piece of kibble.
Mhm.
They feel better about it. You can just conditioning them to think that new stuff predicts good stuff.
Yes.
And that's what you want puppies to learn. New stuff predicts good stuff. However, having said that, the one thing I want to caution people about, when you are on a walk and your puppy meets a new person, don't hand the person food and try and coerce the puppy into going to the person to get food, because it's something new, it's something unfamiliar. They may want the food, but they might not feel safe about getting that close to the person. So it sets up a whole conflict. What we do, and we do that on the field with new puppies, is I don't mind the puppies thinking that we predict good stuff, but I always throw the treat or the piece of kibble past the puppy so that they can go away from me. They have to turn around, go away from me to get the food. So I'm saying, I predict good stuff, but you don't have to get closer than you're comfortable. In fact, you can even move away from me if you want. You have the choice to move away if you feel better about that. So that's an important one for everybody to know, because there's a lot of pressure, I think, put on puppies to move towards people with food.
Yeah.
And it's with all the good intentions in the world.
Of course.
Because people aren't aware of the fact that, they can get in too deep and that can be scary.
Right.
So it's probably best that you use the food anyway, So don't pressure them, even in a positive way, to move out of their comfort zone or get further from home and what they consider safety. And don't drag them, don't hold food in front of them and try yourself and try and coerce them forward. If they're not sure about the world, just bring them out to their safe place. And again, play some of the food games that we play with them, where you throw a piece of kibble and they turn back to you and you go, yay, and throw another one. Just, use food, play with them. Here we are, we're going to play where you feel safe. Now we're going to sit, we're going to watch, what's going on out in the street. They'll get there. But I know that it's really, really hard for people to be patient, because they think their puppy should be out there walking. Best intentions, again, they want them to be successful, but you can't rush a dog who's cautious or anxious.
Right.
They need to do it on their own terms, and they need to do it in their own time. And that's super important. If they want to turn and run away from something that's scaring them, they should be allowed to do that. Again, I'm going to say it again. It's not behavior. It's an emotional response. So it's a different way to deal with it. So I think we've covered everything, Celeste.
I think so.
I don't know if there's any comments, any questions of any kind.
Nope, there aren't. But
that's okay.
I'm sure that people will have some later if they're watching later.
And they are completely welcome to put them in the comments section, and we will answer those for sure. So I don't think I have anything more to say. Do you have anything you want to add to any of that? You good?
I'm good.
Okay. So we'll sign off. We'll be back next week. Not sure what our topic will be, but we'll be back next week. And again, if you have any comments or questions, put them in the section and we will get to them. So everybody have a good week, and thanks for watching today. Take care.